A married couple watches the footage of a video filmed outside of their home. Georges seems to walk by where the video was filmed, however, he doesn't recall seeing anyone. They wonder about who created the film and why. Their son Pierrot arrives home late. Feeling unsettled about the video, Georges asks Pierrot where he was. Pierrot practices swimming at school. Another video catches Georges arriving home in the evening. Georges addresses a camera thanking the audience for tuning in. At home, Anne has discovered the next video, this time wrapped in a creepy drawing. A scene cuts in briefly showing a boy with blood covering his face. The next day, Anne receives a phone call from a man who insists on speaking with Georges. At Georges' work, he receives a postcard similar to the drawing that wrapped the tape. The couple decide to report what has transpired to the police. Unfortunately, the police are dismissive and won't take action unless something more threatening happens. Feeling concerned for his family's safety, Georges picks up Pierrot directly from school. Pierrot shows his father a card that was sent to him as well. A camera films out of a window onto the street below. The camera is walked over to a boy coughing up blood. Georges and his son head to the car. He finds a paper on his windshield. Georges and Anne have a dinner party at their place. They exchange stories and talk about family when the doorbell rings. Georges goes to answer the door, but no one is there and the street is empty. When he tries to shut the door, he finds another tape jamming it, wrapped in another drawing. Georges arrives back to the table and Anne tells their guests about the issues they've had with the videos and cards. Georges decides to play the video for everyone, only to find this one is different. This time the film shows the house that Georges grew up in. Georges talks with his mother and he asks about a boy his parents considered adopting when he was a child. They talk about their lives, but Georges avoids telling her about the stalker issues they've been having. The boy who had the blood on his face chops off the head of a rooster. Covered in blood, he approaches another boy, still holding the axe. Georges awakens in his bed, distraught from the nightmare. Another video is filmed from the dashboard of a car going down the street. Next, the stalker films a hallway and number 047 on a door. Georges and Anne go over the footage trying to figure out where it was filmed. Georges determines that he should try to go to the door that was filmed and see who lives there. Anne tries to convince him to first speak with the police again, but he believes they still won't listen. Georges reveals to Anne that he has a hunch about who it might be, however he won't tell her anything more. Angered, Anne argues with him about how he could keep that information from her. Georges asks Anne to trust him, and she points out that he is the one not trusting her. Georges arrives at number 47 and rings the doorbell. A man who seems to recognize him answers the door and invites Georges in. Georges begins demanding to know what he wants. Majid responds wondering how Georges found him and why he is here. Georges shows the first drawing, however Majid maintains that he doesn't know why Georges has come, even after Georges threatens him and talks about the tapes. Majid tells Georges he is grateful of Georges' parents saying they were kind to him. Afterwards, Georges gets a coffee and calls his wife, saying that no one answered the door at 47 and that a neighbor said it was unoccupied. At a swimming competition, Pierrot's parents watch him. A camera hidden in a corner films Georges' conversation with Majid. It shows him saying he didn't want anything or send the tapes and pictures. After Georges leaves, Majid breaks down in tears. Anne sits next to Georges watching the video. Georges apologizes to Anne for lying and tells her about how Majid's parents used to work for his parents. However, on October 17th of 1961, Majid's parents were killed during a massacre of a demonstration in Paris. Afterwards, his parents took in Majid. A 6-year-old Georges was unhappy about it and made up lies about Majid so that he wouldn't stay a part of their family. Anne asks about the lies and about what happened to Majid afterwards. Georges states that he doesn't remember most of it, but he recalls Majid being sick and being sent to a children's hospital or shelter. Anne shows Georges the tape with a photo from Georges' show and red marker drawn on it. Georges' boss meets with him to inform him that he received a tape of Georges' discussion with Majid. He asks Georges about what his motives could be, but Georges says he doesn't know. He only knows that he is crazy. Georges goes back to Majid's place, but no one answers the door. Anne arrives home late and they both realize that Pierrot is not yet home. Anne calls his friend's house only to find out that Pierrot left their place some time ago. Anne searches Pierrot's room to look for anything that could indicate where he could be. The two go to the police to report Pierrot's disappearance. The first place they check is Majid's house, however his son answers the door. Pierrot is not there, nor anywhere else they can think of. There were also no reports of any accident or child in the hospital. Pierrot is dropped off at home after spending the night at a different friend's house. Anne attempts to talk to Pierrot, but he is distant and angry. He refuses to explain his behavior, save for a small remark that betrays his belief that Anne could be having an affair. While at work, Georges receives a phone call from Majid. At Majid's place, he insists that he knew nothing about the tapes and then ends his own life in front of Georges. Afterwards, Georges arrives home and calls Anne, asking her to send the guests she had over home. He tells her about what happened with Majid and goes on to tell her that he did not go to the police or tell anyone else. Anne asks Georges to tell her about what happened between him and Majid as children. He tells her that he tried to lie, saying Majid was coughing up blood, but when that didn't work, he lied, saying Majid killed the rooster to scare him. At Georges' work, Majid's son approaches him, asking for a word. Georges attempts to avoid him, but he follows Georges into an elevator. Georges tells him that even the police confirmed it was a suicide that he had nothing to do with. Georges asks Majid's son to quit sending the tapes, but the son also insists that it was not he who created them. Georges tries again to leave, but the son persists in following him. They argue in the bathroom about Majid's suicide and whether Georges is to blame. Georges exclaims that Majid's actions are not on his conscience. Back at home, Georges calls Anne to tell her he is feeling unwell and that he has taken a couple pills to sleep early. In a flashback, Majid is taken away by a couple of people, despite his best efforts to run and escape. Outside the school, Majid's son talks with Pierrot.